Do 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 do
Hey, sing it too.
I stole the intro from you this time. I'm sorry. I wanted to do it.
Awesome.
You know, I have to get practice in case one time like you're sick.
That's true. You have to do it without me.
And I may have to do the song. So,
Yeah.
welcome to the DawnCast, episode 6, everybody. We're doing survival games. How to survive survival games with our first ever guest, HawkBlood69, the expert of survival games. Say hi, Hawk.
He's an expert. Now, if you need survival game knowledge, obviously he's the person to go to.
He knows all about them.
Now, to prove this, Hawk, please name every survival game.
If you say
All
he's gonna say Terraria. I already know.
Okay, I'll start. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Just because that's listed on Steam is one that doesn't make it one.
I still want to know why that's listed as one.
I mean, I guess you have life points and you're trying to survive the battles. Canonically, people do die in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, true. Okay, so we're talking about different survival games here. Just covering, you know, how to survive in some of them, and just not just the overall survival aspects, but the player bases too, because there's a big aspect of any survival game is the community. I mean, anyone who's played a survival game understands that, especially ones with like open multiplayer servers. I mean, one to discuss, obviously, to start with, would be the one I'm playing now, DayZ. It's a very brutal survival game, probably one of the hardest. I'm playing on like a non-official server because the official's just way too much. Like, you starve to death every what is it, Sean? Like every 5-10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Yeah, if you don't have food, and it's just not. It's not for people who, like.
It's not for new players.
Yeah, it's not for like people that are new to video games, or like, I mean, you could try it, but it's a game that doesn't hold your hand. Like, you can look on my screen, aside from like health meters, there's not really any kind of HUD. There's no in-game maps really, like outside of like physical ones you find.
It's not a hand holder.
No, it's not. It's definitely not a hand holder. You definitely have to like. It's one I would watch YouTube videos for. I always recommend people, if they're trying it out, like watch a video, you know, or like look up a guide, something online that's going to kind of point you in the right direction, because it's not a game. They basically don't tell you. There is a tutorial now, but when I started, there wasn't even a tutorial. Like, you literally had to figure it out on your own. And then, I mean, the player experience on it's just something else, because it's rare you even run into any kind of friendly players. Like, I don't know the amount of times I get sniped walking down the street.
Or we're just sitting in a room recovering from something.
Yeah, getting wrecked in a room trying to recover. It's oddly enough, the zombies are the least of your worries in this game most of the time.
And that's depressing.
Yeah, especially for a zombie survival. Although the non-official servers, it seems like whoever hosts them knows to like up the zombie count, because the cities definitely feel a lot more like infested than an official, where like you run into a couple zombies here and there.
Absolutely. I know the couple times I've played on that server with you, there was like, I went into the cities and I shot like one zombie, and I was just a horde.
Yeah, it's insane. And then like, that's another thing, is trying to find your friends on this game can be one of the hardest things in the world, because there's no like fast travel. Yeah, no markers or maps, nothing like that.
Are you at a beach? Yeah. Do you see any distinct buildings? Yeah.
It's like everything's a distinct building. Oh, I see a church. Okay, everything's a... It's like when Derpel played the one time, and I asked him where he was, and he's like, I'm at a farm, and it's like, okay, well, everything north of the beach is a farm, so can you narrow it down, please? Like, and then it's one of those where if you die, you drop your stuff, and you're never guaranteed to spawn because the map's so big. You could spawn all the way, like, across the map. Your stuff will be gone by the time you get there, or other players will pick it up. It's definitely one of the most brutal games I've probably ever played. I would say, like, it's not the most toxic survival game. I know we all kind of know which one that is. We're going to get to it soon. But it's definitely one of the more brutal because, like, the people who play it take it very seriously. But it's definitely, I wouldn't call the community toxic because they, it's understood you're going to run into people who want to fight with you. It's kind of one of those kind of games. I mean, it's built off the same, like, you know what I mean? It's built off the same engine as, like, PUBG and Arma, so, like, its DNA is games that were PvP oriented, so there is PvP, you know, and it's, I mean, there are PvE servers if that's what you're into. It's just me, the zombies aren't, like, threatening enough to be, because all you basically have to do is climb on top of something and they're useless, so.
Yeah.
I do think. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
They're about as much threat as just any random animal you find on the game.
Yeah, and the animals, I think the animals tend to be worse than the zombies on here. I think the thing I do like about it is, like, having to actually manage your items in the, like, way of weight, or like, what the heck, those zombies came out of the ground.
Inventory management.
Oh, he crawled up behind me. Yeah, like, you can't, like, just carry a bunch of stuff. Your clothing and stuff will wear out, like, you're not just,
you have to treat it like Resident Evil with the inventory system.
Yeah, it is kind of a very, like, survival horror. Go ahead.
Oh, I do really love the inventory system on games like DayZ, where it comes with that, like, having to sort things by size and figuring out where you want to put them to fit other things.
And, like, knowing that you can't just, like, it's not weight-based, it's like you have so much space in your, like, clothing and your stuff to carry it, and, like, once you run out of space, that's it.
Yeah. And you are definitely right about it being very Resident Evil, because there's a very, like, Resident Evil style inventory management.
That's the one thing I do like about it, is I think it's probably the only survival game that captures sort of a survival horror feel that I've played. I mean, I'm sure there's other ones, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not really any survival games with zombies that even like, and this is a game I would kind of compare to, like, 7 Days to Die. I never got, like, a survival horror feel from that game. It felt more like if someone, like, took the idea of, like, COD Zombies and made it open world, but did a bad job of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only experience with that game is like, I played it, like, one time with a group of friends, and they had, like, all done I can't speak.
Duplication.
Yeah, I played with some people that did duping glitches, and that game, like, it can be fun with the duping glitches, because, like, if you're duping certain items, like, if you're duping, like food and, like, weapons, it's kind of, like, or, like, more ammo, but, like, I remember we would only dupe, like, guns, and I think the only other thing we duped was,
moped parts, wasn't it?
The moped parts, yeah, so everybody could have a moped, so we could all just go drive around together, like, but we never... Like, when it came to the actual survival, we tried not to dupe too much on there because it was just like, why am I going to do that? Like,
they were duping, like, blood packs and, like, so much crap. Everything they had was duped, essentially.
I did not realize how many zombies were here when I discharged that gun.
You should have seen the second, I think that was the fourth time? When after I jumped off that castle wall to try and end my existence on this, because I had no idea where I was. I fired a rifle at one zombie, and then it's just like, oh hey, I feel like I'm an Electro. Time to run from everything.
Yeah, they buffed the zombies for sure on here, because you shoot one that you just get swarmed. Like, that's why I said whoever does these set of servers, they know what to do with the zombies, and they actually feel like a threat when you're in cities. Because when you play on official, you, like, kill one, and like it doesn't even seem like there's that many around. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean DayZ overall, it's a fun game. It's just not a hand holder, and like if you are a new player, I recommend like the best way to survive like is honestly watching videos, maybe finding a group, because I remember when I played this early on, I had a group. That's kind of why I can lone wolf it now, is because I learned from like other people I used to play with that like it's just a lot of people like fall off of this game because once you kind of get killed and lose your stuff, it can be frustrating. Like, it's kind of why on this server I play more of a nomadic role than a like try to have a base, because people will raid you, and it's sometimes better to just have what you need instead of having a bunch of just extra nonsense. But yeah, that's what I would say for this game. Like the survival guide, I would say would most likely be watch videos, find a group of friends, and like when you're playing the actual game, just pay attention. Like, other players are going to be around, and like you never know when they're going to be around, and they will
keep
kill
your head
you.
on a swivel.
Yeah, keep your head on a swivel. Don't make too much noise. All right, do we want to talk about Ark next?
Sure, let's talk about the dinosaur game.
The dinosaur survival game. I mean, the concept is great.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And even in execution, I wouldn't say it's like a bad game. I think Ark is a very fun game, and it definitely had its moments.
It's just once you're set up, it becomes a what next kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're not doing the boss fights, and it's the game with probably the worst community I've ever played in overall.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the big put-offs of that one.
Ark is Ark is the game where I got brought into it in a group of friends, and I got put on poop scooping duty and feeding animals while they went and did all the fun shit. And I still remember the time that my group got raided, right? And our leader got kidnapped and locked in a cage in force-fed poop.
And that's what he gets. That's what he gets.
Why does that feel like they raided them just because of the one person being put on?
How did you get in here? I shut all the doors. Looks like he's hacking. I shut all the doors to this building and she got in here somehow.
You know, honestly, I don't remember like what caused them to come and raid us, if it was just a random attack and they wanted to capture people or what. Because it may have been a counterattack. I don't remember. I was on like feeding and shit, so it wasn't like I was able to do much raiding with my group anyway.
I mean, I've always had like a good group or people to play with on there. Is rarely that. It's always for me, it's two things. It's always either burnout or like the game itself. I get burned, like in the way of like the server stops like going, something like that, where I'm just like, man, I don't want to play this anymore. And then like the community really doesn't help the situation, because you just have so many like grown people. Oh, that is not a good thing. I just walked into a city street and there's dead zombies everywhere.
Yeah, that's one thing that needs to be watched out for when doing that.
Yeah, be careful in this game also if you find groups of dead zombies, because that means there's someone around and it's probably not a good thing. But yeah, it's always like that, where it's just I burn out for one reason or another, or the game does something that I'm just kind of like, I don't want to go through the... Because I mean, even on boosted servers, I love the game, especially with boosted, because I do think the one drawback that they did in the execution is I do feel like timers on like dinosaurs and eggs are just insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that was kind of the whole idea with Ark, was to make it insane, because their logic was, if we make it to where there has to be someone on here constantly and make sure the eggs and the dinos are okay and they're still breeding and they're still hatching, they're being taken care of, then we can force people to play our games more. And even when they're not playing our games, they're worried about their stuff. They're worried about getting raided while they're offline. They're worried about their items. It was honestly the reason it's that, like, drastic with its timers and stuff is to make you worry. That way you play the game more to take care of your animals.
No,
because obviously the more you're on the game, the more...
I see that.
It's the more you're on the game.
I think the problem, in my opinion, what the problem was is when you played before the full launch, they would do that every weekend or so. They would do like double XP, like boosted raising, boosted taming, like stuff. And then for some reason, after the official launch, they just were like not doing as much of that stuff. And it's like, so you want me to actually sit here for like 7 days and like raise this dinosaur? You realize people have like. Well, like
Lives.
most people have like a life, like a life. Like we don't, like I don't have time to just be sitting there.
Yeah, and that's what started that mentality of like groups starting to have like shifts of people coming on. They would befriend people in different time zones and stuff. That way, when someone was at work or asleep, the other person could be on.
No, and I get that.
And they
it's
would
just,
always
I'm just
have
saying,
like a constant rotation.
They wonder why a lot of people quit playing an official, and it's like, well, look at how it's set up. You have your PvP servers where everyone has. Oh, I gotta wait till my server opens back up. You have PvP servers where everyone wants to be in a mega tribe and not fight, and then in PvE you have a bunch of like spoiled, bratty dinosaur collectors threatening each other with 1v1s. It's like, first of all, if you guys are in the wrong game modes, you need to flip it. And then second of all, it's cool. Like, okay, so I like the idea of having like a community-driven like game like that, but I think it's a problem when the community is able to drive it like that, where they're completely able to like, oh, we have this giant mega tribe that essentially spans all PvP servers, so nobody in PvP fights anymore.
Or nobody goes into PvP in general.
Yeah. It just kills the PvP, like, and I'm not saying I want PvP necessarily all the time, but it's just for people who do like that does suck when, like, you just have people basically like, hey, let's turn this into PvE with just the ability to die to turrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing they do, and I really love about that game, is I paid for them, like they cost money, but I think they were like fair prices. Their DLCs are always really cool, like the maps, the new animals.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the story that like just continued throughout the whole game is such a cool, dynamic story when you actually like dig into the lore of the game, and that's something that had me coming back to that game multiple times, was digging through that lore, and I would like watch videos on all the notes, and it would always get me excited hearing like about the story. It had a really good driven story. It's just very hard to experience that story firsthand, because
that community messes up other players' experience too much, or like you get people who offer to take you on boss fights, and when you go, you're basically just sitting there watching as they do everything, or like you have to like make, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's like I said, I think they let the community drive a little too much, and so it ends up making like the lobbies go from being like, hey, let's see what tribe can like ascend first, to being like, hey, let's all become dino brokers and sell eggs to each other. Like,
yeah. Hawk, do you have any opinion on the story? And
I just wish I could have actually experienced it, but like some of the places I went to look, someone built in front of the entrance too.
Yeah, that's also a big problem with that community, is like the caves that you need for the lore, they'll build on top of lore books, stuff like that, because you know how you find those like book things laying around? Like they'll build, I know what he's talking about, yeah, that was one of the things that irritated me in a lot of the servers, is people just building on that stuff.
Because it's like, because then it's like there were some of the, some of the caves had like a relic in them.
Yeah.
But someone would like I said, block off the cave, and to get to it, it's like, I can't access this, so I have to find another cave that leads into it that they didn't find.
One of the things I think I do like about that game a lot, though, is I like the like three aspects I really like. Is I like the crafting. I thought the crafting was always really smooth on it. Like because if we're being honest, I think the game, and I think anyone that understands this, is like the most like just easy, fluid crafting is Minecraft. Like if you want a game with just solid crafting, and it's in the name, but you know what I mean, like. And a lot of other survival games try to borrow that, and they don't always do it so well. But like, I feel like Ark does it really well. You know what I mean?
Ark definitely has a very good crafting system. Absolutely.
It does, yeah. And I think what I like about that too is I like how you have different like you have those different like you can't learn everything if you're playing in like a normal server. Like you know what I mean? You can only learn certain like if you learn how to build how. Hold on. But the reason I do like that is because I think it helps when you're trying to build a tribe, because then you can have people who are actually like have characters that are better at certain things than like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm good at building like the animal stuff, so I'll do that while you build like the housing stuff, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's just I think that's cool because they do try to like make that stuff fit into where like the other aspects of the game, because it's like they kind of nerf you in your like, I don't know if you want to call them like augments or whatever, like to build stuff, but then like in doing that they basically encourage you to have like a very like cohesive like tribe with like communication and like, oh hey, I'm going to learn this, so like don't learn that, learn something else, you know what I mean? Like I think that part is cool.
See, but here's like, I have an issue with that system, like the engram system. And while I do think it's a very cool idea, I think there needs to be ways to, like, when you're playing in a solo world, if you don't edit it to have infinite engrams unlocked and stuff, or if you just want to hop into a world by yours, like if you want to hop into an arc
do a
by
solo
yourself,
run, yeah, I get you,
and just do a solo run, you physically cannot unlock everything. You have to eventually find it through blueprints, and it can be the most basic crap that you just never find in a blueprint because you're just unlucky.
No, yeah, that is
that
annoying.
Can be very infuriating.
I think there should be like a little bit better of a way. You're right, like for that stuff, but like I think in the end, like the good kind of outweighs the bad. But I get what you mean. Yeah, I think that's one aspect where the community is helpful. Is like a lot of the time, if you need blueprints, most of the time people will sell you a blueprint or like.
Yeah. You can.
And how do you feel about
it.
Yeah.
What's your like thought on the that kind of stuff, Sean? Like the augment or the engrams and. Like, do you think that's a solid like way of going about it? Or?
It's a decent idea. And it works too. But like you said, some of the stuff it needs to actually be linked properly with your leveling, more than anything.
Well, that too,
because I think there was a point where, well, we were playing and I was trying to get something, but it took way too long to get to it, just because of the way they wanted you to level for it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like basic stuff that you just need to like build for like a house or something, and they make it like way too complicated.
Or like we were making we were trying to make walls or something of a certain kind, and it's like, hey, you need X amount of this. Cool, where the heck do I find it? And it's like you just have to end up going like to the other side of the map just to get the stuff.
Yeah. See, but talking about leveling for a second, that's another system that I think could have used work, because if you're being honest, like, there's a couple ways to get XP in that game, obviously. Killing things, breaking things, crafting things were the big ones.
Didn't you get some, well, taming too?
I don't know, did you get, like, a boost in XP when taming?
I think you get a taming XP thing, yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember because I haven't played on official in ages.
Killing, but the three main ways are breaking, killing, and crafting. And one of the fastest ways to do it is obviously by crafting, like, rafts, and that just makes the system kind of messy because you can just boost levels by crafting rafts. And then, like, breaking things doesn't give you a significant enough, like, XP boost to try to do that to level up, while killing things is a little bit better than that, but still not near as good as just building rafts.
Yeah.
I remember people just would level up making cloth hats, but I mean...
Well,
I think I got like a
because that's,
couple
like, how
levels
we
just
downloaded
making
it.
clubs.
Yeah, you just... torches, like, especially in boosted
like,
servers.
Yeah, that's my exact point, though, is, like, you could just use crafting for it always. Like crafting was just the way you did it when they had, like, these other systems that should have given more, if not just as, just as much, if not more, for certain
It should
things.
have been useful.
And the only way you could level up past that was, like, killing alphas was obviously a really good way to level up in later levels.
Killing alphas was a pain no matter what.
Yeah, if you're playing official, that game, I mean... And that's a survival tip for Ark. If you are new to that game, look for alphas and try to find a way to kill them. They're usually glowing red. They can't be tamed, so don't try, because everyone does. But it is a good way to, like... And remember, if you encounter a Giga, you go up and passive feed it berries. That's how you tame that.
That is how you tame Gigas.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Wait.
No, everyone knows that. That's how you tame Gigas.
They love the blue ones.
They do. And you tame the giant monkeys by knocking them unconscious.
And you passive tame rock golems also. You have to feed them bricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
don't
don't listen.
started on
There's this messy rumor that you have to use explosives on rock golems. You don't have to.
No, you have to shoot your own character first, and then go to the rock golem after.
Yeah. The explosive things, it's a lie. You don't need to use those on rock golems.
It's a hack.
Okay, now that we've given awful advice.
We're just being Ark players at that point. That's the community right there. Just tell you things that aren't true. The only thing that was true there was the thing about the alphas. The rest of that, you figure it out on your own. But yeah, I think Ark overall as a game, as a survival game, is, I think, one of the better executed games. Like, yeah, it does. You're right. You guys are right. It does have some, like, flaws, like, but I do think, like, as an overall game and experience, it is quite fun. And
yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't regret playing Ark.
That's
what I mean. Is it does have flaws, but
you run out of stuff.
No, and I think the overall game is cool too, because you get the story aspect, which not every survival game has a story, or if they do, they don't always do it well.
Or they don't even tell you there's one.
Yeah, or they don't tell you there's one. Where this actually, like, it, you know that there's a story, and you kind of know how to follow it by just following what the lore stuff says, and it's pretty cool. And I think, again, it's one of the few games with DLCs that actually does its DLCs well.
Mm-hmm. And before we do any type of closing out on Ark, I would like to ask, Hawk, please give me a theory on what you think Ark 2 is going to be about.
Are they still doing Ark 2? I thought they abandoned it.
No, they still have Ark 2 in the works, man.
Honestly, with that, I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to assume it's about you having a family, because Vin Diesel's in it, and they showed,
Vin Diesel is there.
And his character had, like, kids in the trailer, so I'm assuming that it's going to be kind of the thing from Atlas, where you could, I think, couldn't you have, like, Atlas, you could have, like, NPC pirates, so they're probably going to try to, like, do something about, like, give you kids or something.
Yeah, I think the theory was you'd be able to raise kids, and then once your character dies, instead of like coming back as your character, you come back as a kid, as the kid.
That's gonna be
I think
fun.
that was the theory. I could be wrong though. Also, I love that mention of Atlas. That was actually a really fun game that I think got a little bit too much hate.
Yeah,
like it was just Pirate Ark. But it was really fun when we played.
And they were better about a lot of things, like the taming. It was a lot easier to tame stuff on there. It took, like, none of the time.
And, like, when we started building that boat was really fun.
And the people on there were much nicer. Remember those German people that just gave us a bunch of supplies to build a house and a whole ship? They literally just gave us the parts to make a pirate
ship. And that
ship.
giant kitty that tried to cuddle with us?
And then he ate our tames because he's a jerk.
and then he ate me like 3 times.
Cool. I call him a jerk reading our tapes. He ate me 3 times. He was cool.
Anyway, do we want to move on to our next game?
Yeah, we are going to move on to it. I would say it's similar to Ark in some ways with the, like, having a story in that, but other than that, oh, and I guess you can have, like, I mean, they're not, you can have tames technically, but they're not rideable, and, like, you can have thralls and that. But Conan Exiles, a very interesting, like, I think it's a little bit different because it does have, like, cities and, like, a little bit more of an NPC, like, influence and world to it. But I mean, Conan Exiles is a pretty good game. I mean, I think it's one of those games where it's definitely more fun when you're a new player, I think, and you don't know what's going on, opposed to when you have everything figured out, because it definitely does hit a wall pretty fast when, you know, you have like a good base with like a bunch of thralls and like they're, other than doing boss, it kind of runs into that problem where like Ark sometimes does, like what Sean was saying, where like sometimes you get to a point and you're just kind of like, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've completely lost myself here. I just realized we've just missed the perfect opportunity to make a Ned's Declassified joke for the title.
Well, it's fine. You can retroactively do that for the thumbnail or something.
You're right, I can.
I think Conan like hits that, because that's one thing I will say about DayZ is, although DayZ doesn't have story, the fact that it doesn't have any sort of story, there's not really a now what feeling, because you're always on your toes, like running away, trying to just survive, because you can't ever really just like you can stay in a base or a city, but it doesn't last long, because as soon as somebody comes across you, if they're able to get the upper hand, you're losing your stuff. Or like, I feel like with Ark and even Conan, you sometimes hit a wall of like a now what do I do kind of thing, you know, like.
Well, my thing with Conan Exiles specifically is Conan was really fun the first go around. When you don't know what you're doing and you're learning, that's when it's at its funnest.
Yeah.
No, it's fun for a new player. Like, it's fun. That's why I said it was fun for new players.
Absolutely, yeah. Because like with like Ark and DayZ, like there's definitely a lot of fun with it when you know what you're doing and you know how to play the game. But with Conan, the funnest part is 100% when you're learning the game and you're exploring these things for the first time. You're seeing these crazy creatures. Like I remember when me, you, and Glaz stumbled upon the sewers like serpent thing in that one
and we freaked out and like ran out. Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, we freaked out and ran out. And like when we first were discovering it and stuff, we were like going through the puzzles and genuinely solving them there and then. Like I remember there was these things you had to shoot, and I was like, hey, you guys see those buttons up there? You all have bows. I don't. Shoot those. And like built a bridge across, and there was
and it was really fun. It was like an actual like temple kind of thing. Like, no, I get it.
And it felt like we were a genuine group. Like it felt like we were like an actual adventuring group. While once you know you have your base built and you know what you're doing and you know what to expect, and you're going through things for like the second run through, and it's like, oh, this is very magical the first time. Now it's just here.
Yeah.
Now it just feels like chores.
Oh yeah, because like even the thralls, well, yes, there were some stations to do some of the stuff or give you more recipes. They really were only there just so like, hey, a sandstorm, I'm gonna go sit in the cave and kill things there. While the thralls protect against whatever shows up.
Yeah, or like I remember you could have them kind of defend the base against the purge thing that happens, which I thought that was a cool idea. I think that's a cool idea, the purge thing. I just think it's not well executed, because I remember like we lived at that tree and we had like that long. Oh my God! Somebody's cracking a gun off on my game, and I don't think they realize I'm just laying on the other side of a fence from them.
Wow. But I like my thing with it is I 100% believe that Conan is very much the journey to get there is better than the destination with that game.
Yeah.
Because like one of the funnest moments I think I had on that game playing with you all was when we had to travel across like the desert and all these different places to get to that swamp. And we travel across essentially the whole map. because we moved bases like essentially across the map.
No, yeah,
It was
no.
that, like, adventure and trying to get there together as a group.
And I think what I liked about that too is I like the fact that it's you would do that. It was how do I put it? Oh, I should probably switch weapons. Hold on, sorry. Like you would like that game, because there's no mounts. I kind of like that too, because it actually felt like an adventure to like get to places. Like, don't get me wrong,
Absolutely.
mounts are great, but once you get like a wyvern on Ark and just fly from point A to point B in like a matter of minutes, it kind of takes some of the challenge.
Yeah.
Which I like the wyverns, don't get me wrong, because that is kind of like your reward
The
for like...
wyverns are fun, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a reward for all the work you put in on the game, but at the same time it's like...
Even more work just to tame the things.
Well, I'm just saying it's more one of those things where Ark, once you have the right mounts, you don't really have to deal with any of the major, like even in Aberration, if you have the right stuff, you never have to go and deal with any of the crazy animals running around in there or anything.
Rock drake.
Yeah, you just need like a rock drake or those big crabs.
Except for the Ravagers. Even if you can deal with everything else, those things can still ruin everything.
Yeah, those can be a pain.
Living
but
chainsaws.
It's you're right. The game does, like I said, the one thing I did like about it though is I like the whole where they have like they have like cities and things, like you can go and like see actual like NPCs, because I feel like that was one thing missing from like Ark, is the fact that there's no like NPC or you know, it kind of has the Fallout 76 problem, which is another survival game. It has that problem though, where like you don't have the like when it came out, where there was no NPCs and everybody was like, well, this isn't fun, because like NPCs are sometimes a good thing to have in these kind of games. Granted, like because even Minecraft has them. That's what the villagers are. They're just NPCs. They're literally the most NPCs you'll ever see in your life. But like,
Hawk, what was your favorite moment from Conan, and like an example of a tip, like a tip for new players trying to get into Conan?
yeah, especially because you have been recently playing, so I'm sure you have some like...
Absolutely.
The most I can say is when you're wanting to do like something to keep yourself personally fed, harvest plants and make sure you have a campfire with wood. Because you get enough, because it's, I think it was 10 seeds and 10 fiber, and you can literally make like 100 food for gruel.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I remember that. I think that was a mistake we made when we played, is we forgot to like, what was it? I think we forgot to put like, we didn't understand that like, oh, you need to like have all the... It was something with the campfire, like we forgot to put wood in it or something. I think it wasn't that we didn't know, we just completely forgot. And then I was like, why can't we make... Oh, we don't have wood in here, like...
Yeah, because wood and plant fiber can be used to make stuff, but like if you're trying to make food, you want to use the wood before anything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that does make sense. And then like a favorite moment from your time playing Conan?
I may have jumped off a cliff fighting the giant bat on one of the towers.
Oh.
I saved myself barely, but I might have leapt off the cliff. Yeah.
I love those. Like, I've had it. I mean, you can have it with any game with like good boss fight where you can kind of leave the arena. But I've had those where you're fighting, and then it's just like, this fool's gonna kill me, and so you just jump, and like you know that like you have a better chance of hitting the ground and not dying than like whatever you're fighting, like not killing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that game, I think for me it was the moment you were talking about, Simple, when we were playing me, you, and Glaz, like, that definitely was my, like...
That snake room, absolutely agree.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was gonna say that, and if someone's actually being decent to you and not like attacking you, don't be a jerk and attack them, because like that. I ran into someone who actually gave me pretty good equipment, which I may have used on the bat again. I went back there.
Dude, you and that damn
You
bat,
and that
bro.
damn bat. Jinx.
Oh, that was like the only like
Arch
boss
rival.
I actually had issues with. Like mini boss, I guess you could say.
I don't even know if we fought him.
I don't think we ever did.
Oh, I have like another favorite moment on there. I remember me and Eb were playing. It was like one of the days you two weren't on with us. It was me and her, and we went over to this like boss, and we aggroed it, and it like followed us all the way out. It was like this giant spider boss, and it followed us all the way out of like the thing, and we went over to these people's base, and it started attacking all their thralls and
I
stuff
remember
and
hearing
killing
about
them.
this.
And I remember I was like, oh, I think we should leave. And she's like, you're still there? And she was like halfway back to base already without me.
I remember
And I was
hearing
like,
about
oh
this.
no. And I just left.
Because I hopped on a couple hours later, and I got to hear like the aftermath of.
And it was just funny because it was like they were like a mega tribe basically in the server. So, and we like kind of caused their stuff to get like attacked, and it was just funny. And it was
Did
just
you all
more
have
funny.
to like semi-apologize to them too?
No, they never found out. It was just more funny
Did they
because
never find out?
I think what
I
ended
swear
up
there was, like,
happening
a
is
tribe
one of
that-
them like talked to Eb or something and was giving her stuff, and I think it was like the whole thing was she was like
That's
kind of
what it
low key
was.
laughing because she's like, if you
Yeah,
only
that's
knew
what
what
it was.
happened a few days ago, like you wouldn't be so nice to me because like.
Yeah, I remember.
And that wasn't
That's
intentional. Like
fun
we
times.
weren't trying to like get their stuff killed. What it was is the spider was gonna kill us. So my logic was like, oh, they have a big like base. I'll just go over there. They
Their
have a bunch
tanks
of
will
like
take
big
care of
animals.
it.
They should be their stuff should be able to like take care of it. But that thing, I guess, was like way stronger than anything they had.
Yeah,
So
I know what one you're talking about, the giant tarantula boss thing.
yeah, that thing.
Yeah, I
like in
went
that
to
woods.
fight that. I wasn't. Oh, that might have been a different one then. 'Cause I found one that was in like a desert, like plain.
No, there's one in like this, like it's like this wood with webs. It's like if you remember where our base on that game was by that tree,
Yeah.
it's not that far around the corner from where that was.
Yeah,
it was just
I found a
funny.
different one. Yeah.
So, do you all want to move on to my personal favorite survival game?
Of course, let's move on to Terraria.
The Crab. Oh, you son
Oh
of
my God! Look, I showed her mommy and she's doing a handstand. Look at this.
Let's clarify. Terraria is not a bad game. I just like Minecraft, and he knew that Terraria is.
I just like
compared to
Minecraft and Stardew Valley better, and it kind of tries to be
Right.
both without being either. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no hate towards Terraria.
No,
I
if you
know
like
it's a good
Terraria,
game.
that's cool. I've
Like,
never, to be honest, I've never played the game, so I don't have an opinion on it. Like, if you like
Yeah.
it, by all means, play it.
Yeah. It's like a,
Yeah, I know
Terraria's
my
a
like,
good game.
brother was into it and stuff.
It's kind of
but
like
he
Don't
had a lot of
Starve.
fun
I'll
with it.
probably never play Don't Starve, and I don't think the game's bad. I just, the thing that, the reason that I'm not big on Don't Starve, or that did it for me, is I can't get past the art style. I
See, when
don't
you said
like the
Don't
art
Starve,
style.
my brain didn't think of like that game. My brain, for some reason, was like, "Oh, he's talking about Don't Even Think," that battle royale game that got discontinued after
That
like
really
2
cool.
months. It was really
No,
fun.
I was
We had lot
around
of
for a
fun
while.
with
It wasn't until they tried to add a battle pass and monetize that they had
Oh.
problems. Because they were trying
Yeah.
to, because Fortnite essentially came out and just ruined it.
Yeah, but anyway, Minecraft. This is a game I know for a fact we all have spent countless
Almost
hours
everyone
on.
has played.
We all, yeah, and I know we all here at least have very different play styles from each other. Hawk, you like getting towns built and
Yeah.
setting things up and getting things ready. I am a very technical player. I like getting, villagers to willingly do things without torturing them in the slightest. And
And me, I play like every other survival game where I just get a bunch of cool stuff for free, and I don't know why.
I was about to say, and Don, you like to mooch off the rich. So
Well, what's funny is like it's not even mooching necessarily. It's just like Atlas. It happened in the Ark server where I met Eb. Like every time I join like a survival game with people, they're always just like, "Oh, here's all this stuff," and it's just like, okay, so I don't have to do anything. Like you're just gonna get okay. Like I think that's why I have such a like. I think that's why I have such a lazy play style in those when it comes to being like an
you
actual.
definitely do.
Is because
when it's
everyone
just
always
like
just
me,
gives me stuff, so I'm like, I'm not doing this work, like, because I know someone will just give me the thing I want, like.
Yeah, and I remember like that time, like me and you and I think Hawk joined a little bit later on that world, but like the wall world where we just kept building
I still
walls
have
around
that
things.
actually. I found
I want to
like came
play
out.
that again.
We can
That
all
was
go on
such
there
a
one of
fun
these
world.
days. Once
And I
finish
think that's like
it.
a world where you genuinely put more work than you normally put into Minecraft worlds.
That's because I have a
you were just
cobblestone
helping me the whole
generator.
time. No, I think what was great was when I was like, it was like we had this big argument over cobblestone generators, and I was like, in a normal world they're pointless. Why would you have a cobblestone generator? And then we went back on one of our old worlds, and it was a
It was
cobblestone
that
generator.
one, and I was
you were
like,
wait,
"Hey, it's
wait,
the cobblestone
you built
generator.
that?
You built that!" Like,
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I did. I can't argue that. I did build that cobblestone
You
generator.
get mad whenever Dawn asks me to make one.
hey, I like those things. Okay, and then I don't have to go on the ground like mole man, and I can just like, you know.
Oh,
Plus
speaking.
I
Okay,
miss
but
that
to be
one.
fair, if you had my experience in cave with creepers, you'd understand why I want
True.
cobblestone gen. Like, simple was there the day of the great 6 creepers on my head incident.
There was so many every time, and it was great because I was deeper in the cave than him at points. I would like walk past that point, and I'm like, okay, just come back, it's fine. There's not another one. And then he would get there, pick up his stuff, and instantly a creeper would drop on his head, and then another creeper would drop on his head.
I remember I like sealed that cave off, and I was like, no one's allowed to go in there ever again. Like, that cave is banned.
It didn't fail. I had to get his stuff and walk back up because every time he would go in the cave, there would be a creeper there. I
There
could
was
be
even
in the
points
cave,
where
no
like
creepers.
2 or
He
3
goes in the cave,
creepers
creeper.
would fall on me. Like, it was just for some reason every time I would walk in there, a creeper would just spawn and kill me. And it was like, all right, man, like. And so after we got out, I built like a thing around it, and I was like, no one's allowed to go in there.
Hawk, what's your favorite memory of like our Minecraft worlds and stuff, or just a Minecraft memory in general you love?
I think it wasn't like it was the wall world again.
Okay, hold on. Before you start that story, tell them the story about when you and Eric broke a server with the chickens. Come on, you can't not tell that story.
That one was hilarious. It's just my like 50. I think it was like a 25 block
Okay,
chicken.
tell them what you did. Yeah, tell them what you did. Like,
I built an auto egg dispenser, and I literally just kept it filled up. It's like hundreds of eggs. I think the whole thing only started off with like 5 chickens to begin with.
they basically crashed the server. Like, you couldn't even play on it. It would just like, you know when you play Ark and there's those massive bases? It was
And
like
it just,
that.
like, starts chugging.
Yeah,
just
like
chickens.
Yeah.
I had to go in there and just murder everything. That's how bad it got.
That's great.
I'm not talking like I went in there and just killed them all with a sword. I literally got a bucket of lava and just started corralling them in there with seeds.
Well, to be fair, when you build an auto chicken farm, you are supposed to have lava to cook the grown chickens and
Well,
then
I
take
think,
the food.
Oh no, it was a 25 by 25 like chicken cage.
I think it was honestly an experiment for them to see how many chickens they could just get, and then it like turned into, it breaks the game after a while.
Too many is the answer.
Like, yeah, because there was a bunch of space, but chickens were just everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know why, it just makes me think about when I was playing with my old group on this world, and we had walled off a village and we were living in it, and I don't know why, but for some reason I had like under the village I had found like an open like cave area, and I was just stockpiling all this TNT down there because I just like didn't want anyone else to have TNT but me, so I would like anyone that had gunpowder I would like confiscate it and like take it and make it into TNT. And like we had like a ton of TNT in there, and then I remember
gunpowder for people to make TNT.
it wasn't stolen. I told them right away that no one was allowed to have it. It's because we had some people in our group that would like, they would literally like troll you by fucking like blowing up your house and survival. It's like, bro, that's not trolling. You're just being a jerk.
No, it's
like,
griefing. That's called griefing.
yeah,
There's
so
a
that's
difference
why
between trolling and griefing.
it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like mitigate it by like taking like basically there's a gunpowder like tariff or whatever. Like if you have it, I'm taking it. And I just remember like we had a nether portal in the village, and I don't know what we were doing, but like I came out last, and one of those blaze things followed me out and started spitting fire everywhere, and it managed to like catch something on fire, and it got down and hit the TNT. Next thing we know, we like all die. We go back, and there's just a giant crater where the village was. I think like there was like one like little plateau of land with a fragment of my house left on it, and everything else was just gone. And like we weren't even mad. It was like the funniest thing ever. It was just like, oh my god.
So what I'm hearing is you're playing backfired because you stockpiled the TNT under your own house.
Well, what was funny is only like one or two people knew that all that TNT was there. So maybe even funnier because everybody's just like, what the hell just happened? Where's the village? Like,
that's hilarious. And Hawk, what was that story you were about to tell?
I just was gonna say the server, the world that has the walled off villages. I remember there was a point where not only was Dawn putting chickens in a house for some reason, but you had me go and wall off a village, the pillager towers.
Oh yeah.
Or one of them, those nearby.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
hey, we now have a lighthouse or something, and it's like we look over and it's just lava pouring down because you got bored.
And the water poured down. Yeah, the water poured down. Then we had a man-made mountain by Dawn that he then decided would be the best place for our nether portal. And that worked out so very well, because then our nether was just full of pillagers.
It was hardcore nether. You go in there and there's pillagers shooting you. Hardcore.
I wonder how that would work nowadays if we got that same seed up and running.
I mean, I have the server. Like, once I get my Minecraft thing fixed, I think that might have to do the Microsoft account thing. It could have to do with the thing that happened with my like card and that. Could be that. That's why it signed me out, because I think it might have signed... I'll fix it later, though. But, yeah, that's why it sucks when people... guys, be careful with your, like, debit cards and credit cards, because people hack you just stupid places like the store, and then use $30 on Uber, and you have to change your card and all this stupid stuff for freaking $30.
I'm with a PSA over here.
Uber, fix your shit, boys.
I don't think it's Uber's fault.
Well, they had my card in their thing, and I have a feeling they got hacked is what it was.
Oh, yeah?
Because they store your card info.
Maybe. But, yeah, Minecraft, it's a great game, and I love playing with you three specifically because of the fact that it's like we have such varying different play styles.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like the game that invented the like survival and crafting, but it's definitely the game that
helped it along.
It definitely innovated and like brought it to the forefront, because I can't remember what the game is called, but there is a game on like NES or Game Boy, and it's like basically a game adaptation of Lord of the Flies, and it's actually like a crafting like survival game. I think it's something like Island Kids, I think is what it's called, and like you actually have to feed the kids and like build a shelter, and like I think they can actually like perma-die and things. I think that's one of the early survival games, and then I think there was not 100%, but I'm pretty sure there's a few like text-based RPGs, you know, from back in the day on like old computer games. I think some of those were like survival-oriented, like. So, like, I mean, obviously, like, I wouldn't say Minecraft is the first, and we all know about, like, Cave Game or whatever that, like, inspired Minecraft. It's not the first.
Well, that's what Minecraft was before
then what's
it
that
became
game?
Minecraft. That was
There's
what
a game,
Notch
though,
made.
that even Notch said he borrowed, because he was, like, all into the game, and he basically borrowed the idea for Minecraft from it. There's, like, a game that precurses Minecraft that's essentially Minecraft, but it's not.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. It's not. He didn't make it though. Someone else made it, but then like he essentially. I think it's Infiniminer. It might have been that one. Yeah, and then he essentially just took the idea and like perfected it. But he even like he's not a jerk about it. Like he even credited that game for like. It's not like he was like, oh, this is my original idea. No, like It's just that's the game that sort of inspired like him to do the stuff with Minecraft. But like
Yeah.
even though Minecraft isn't the first, it's definitely like I would say it's the one that brought it to the forefront. Yeah, it was.
Absolutely.
It's the Hulk Hogan of crafting games. It made it popular. 80s Hogan before. No, we're saying 80s Hogan. It's okay to call it compared to that Hogan, not modern Hogan.
I hate that comparison. Okay, let's all try to give a tip or trick for Minecraft before we end off Minecraft, starting with Dawn.
All right. Well, just get your friends to give you stuff. That usually is how I play. No,
that is a Dawn tip. Okay.
Just build. Always just build in a spot that's like easy for you to access, but it's hard for any of the AIs to access. Like kind of on like a hillside type. You know what I mean? Like because
that's an easy answer. You just put one block up and do like a 1 block jump.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. And then I will to add to that. Also make sure, because this is something a lot of new players don't understand. No matter what you're building, always make sure you're putting enough lighting down, because like that can be a problem.
Don't even get me started on lighting.
I've known people to like not properly light the inside. I remember I had somebody who built a floating mansion in one of my worlds and forgot to light the ground down below. So every time you would walk there, no matter what time of day it was, you just get attacked by zombies and stuff.
That's great.
Yeah, so just always place those torches, because if you don't,
so your suggestion is use light. Use torches.
Build smart and make sure you're using proper lighting. All
right, Hawk.
Dawn kind of put it in.
Well, give people
perspective.
I think you can give people some farming advice or something. You know a lot about that. You know a lot about the technical stuff.
Farming wise, yeah. Most of the farming wise, you want to mostly just probably do a bit of everything, but I think sugarcane and pumpkins and melons are the most annoying. Don't ever do beetroot for one. That's just useless in every perspective. Most of the time, put the water underneath the crops more than running through them, because it makes sure you don't trample stuff.
Yeah, the trampling one's a good one, because a lot of people don't realize that, and they just run right through the plants.
Oh yeah.
All right. So your overall is don't trample. Try not to trample your crops.
Take care of your crops and make sure you're place the water underneath. Be smart about how you place the water.
Crop awareness.
Yeah.
Crop awareness.
The crop awareness, which crops not to grow. It's always good to know that.
Okay. Here's my tips. Right, since you all did 2, I'm gonna do 2 now. Tip number 1. Carpets and fences are your best friends when it comes to taking care of animals and farms. Always use carpets and fences. Your animals just can't get out of that, and you can get over it, so it's awesome. Number 2 is stock up on librarian villagers while you can. Next update, they're ruining them. Get as many librarian villagers as you can before next update comes out.
What are they doing next update to them?
They're making the librarians' books go off of what biome they spawn. They're they spawn in, and you can only get up to level 3 on power, protection, sharpness, and I think there was one more you can only get to level 3 on. And you have to breed the villagers, I think it's in the swamps, to get mending.
No!
Yeah, so stock up on villagers now.
It's already a pain to get mending to begin with.
The only nice thing about that is it does give you confirmed mending, because it's always going to be mending as the last trait of the swamp villagers. The thing that's bad is you can't get over protection 3, sharpness 3, and power 3 from villagers anymore, which sucks, because that just makes enchanting stuff so much worse. So stock up on good enchanting villagers now. That's my tips.
I mean, that's a good tip, because I'm sure that's going to be game changing and not in a good way. So
Yeah, I just wanted to make people aware of that before it happens.
If they're gonna do that, they have to let you choose how to do the enchanting.
they're not gonna though.
Yeah.
You know they won't.
Okay. Anyway, do we want to do something here before we wrap up?
I mean, I think we covered a lot of good, survival games today. There's a lot of other ones out there people should definitely check out. Like, even though it got a lot of hate when it came out, Fallout 76 is a fairly, solid one. It has a nice community. Most people are really good. I've heard good things, even though I'll probably never try it myself because of the art style. I've heard a lot of good things about Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together. Terraria was another one we brought up. Solid game.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of good indie ones over on PC.
Absolutely. I quite enjoy, it's called Eco. That one's very fun.
Is that the one where the meteor comes towards?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one was
absolutely.
cool.
Such a fun game. I've gotten to play it quite a bit.
And if you want a really good tip for survival games, guys, stay the hell away from Rust. That's all I'm going to say. As a new player, just stay the hell away from Rust. I mean, it's just Ark with, this kind of stuff, so that's all I'm going to say, it's just a bad community. But yeah, I think that was a good coverage of the survival games, especially the ones we know well, ones we played together.
Absolutely. Well, Hawk, is there anywhere they can find you?
Other than sometimes on Instagram, that's about it. I don't really post anywhere, more often than not.
Okay, we'll look for him out on Instagram. If not, I mean, HawkBlood69 on PlayStation and Xbox. You see him out in those survival worlds. Look out for him. Maybe he can help you.
Are you HawkBlood on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram I'm HawkBlood. Xbox, it's either HawkBlood or Kind Warrior. It just depends on what
it
I
might be
play.
Kind Warrior on Xbox because Xbox gives you 3 names sometimes. Anyway.
Yeah.
And HawkBlood was our first guest, so thanks for joining us. I mean, we'll have more guests in the future. We got some got some future shows coming up with some guests talking about movies, things like that. So look forward to those guys. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Simple, you want to lead us out?
Yeah, I'll lead us out. They need to they need to reboot Ned's Declassified. Fuck, I forgot how to sing.
We can just leave off on that. All right, everybody, thank you. And remember, Simple loves Ned's Declassified. Thanks for joining us.